Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna. And today I have another card using the Gumball Greetings Bundle that is in the current January to June 2022 mini catalog from Stampin' Up. Now I've been posting quite a few projects with this bundle. As I explained before, I did a class and it was a virtual class. So when I do virtual classes, I can't sell kits that have stamps in them. So my class focused mainly on the die portion of the bundle, which is called Gumball Machines. And it has all of the dies needed to make these adorable gumball machines here. This one here also uses the domes as well as the, what are they called? Frosted beads. So we made shaker card out of that. And again, all the die cutting, it was all die cutting with the parts, these dies here. We also made this one, which was die cut as well. And we just embellished it a little differently. And then we made this one here, again, showing just all the die cuts and some punches and some designer series paper. Then last week, I wanted to showcase just the stamp set. Because if you're making a lot of Valentine's Day cards or even Christmas cards, whatever, if you can just stamp and go, you're going to get a whole lot more done. So last week, I posted this card, which focused solely on the stamps. I used all of the components to make the gumball machine. The dome, the bottom, the cap, and whatnot. So that is really, I love the stamp set. So today, we're going to use a combination of stamps and dies. And our card is going to be this one here, and it's adorable. I even made this background paper, which is super easy, and it looks like it is designer series paper. So all of the parts of the gumball machine were stamped but then die cut. And I also used the stamp set, the sweet strawberry stamp set, and I used this happy birthday you sweet thing and hello there. And I thought that was appropriate because this is candy. And here are all my little gumballs on the inside of the card. So happy birthday, you sweet thing. And the gumballs are sweet. So let's get started and I will show you how quickly this card came to be. Now I have my stamp pads that I'm going to use to make my designer series paper. And I have Bermuda Bay, Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, and a color I don't use that often, Granny Apple Green. So those are the 4 colors I'm going to use to make my background paper. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, and I have a piece of basic white. It's 3 3/4 by 5. Now, although on my card the stripes are going vertically, I'm holding my paper horizontally so that I can, I'm more comfortable using it, doing it that way. Certainly, if you're more comfortable with your paper vertically, that's fine. So I do need to have a way to clean my stamp in between stamps. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Scrub, and I'm going to have this here off camera. I have sprayed the left side of my Stampin' Scrub with the Stampin' Mist, and then I'm going to clean it. After I wipe it, I'm going to clean it on the other side. So the stamp set has these stripes here, and I've mounted it up on my block. Okay, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink that up in my Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to bring this right up to the top of my paper. I'm going to stand up so that I can get a better look at where it's coming, where it's going. So I'm going to stamp down. Okay. Then I'm going to clean it off on my my Stampin' Scrub. I'm going to ink it up in Daffodil Delight. I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to stamp. Again, I'm going to clean it and ink it up in Melon Mambo. And, oops, I'm going to clean that off. And stamp. What I like about this particular stamp is that it is 5.5 inches. So should I choose to make a large card and stamp on a large card, you know how cards are 4 1/4 by 5.5, this stamp will cover that whole page. So now I'm coming down with the Granny Apple Green. I'm gonna clean this again. And no two cards are gonna come out alike. I can already see differences in the two cards that I made. This one here, I'm holding my, my stripes are farther apart. The other one, it seems like I stamped it a little closer. And that's fine. Okay, there's my Daffodil Delight. Next up is my Melon Mambo. Next up is my Granny Apple Green. Oops. And I think I can fit one more Bermuda Bay. Okay. And there I have my striped paper. And this is a little crooked, but that's fine. I think that in the scheme of things, it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to put that aside. I have I'm going to put this whole top piece aside. Inside my card, I have Happy Birthday, You Sweet Thing, and then all of these little gumballs. Because I have my stamps, my inks all lined up, I'm going to go ahead and make the bottom part of my card, the inside part of my card, and I'm going to do that gumball stamping. So I have another piece of basic white, and this measures 4 by 5 1/4. And inside this stamp set is this little trio of gumballs. Now, what I want to do is try to have them be evenly spaced. So I'm going to pick a color and I'm going to put it right in the middle. I'm going to do that one first. So I'm going to pick my Bermuda Bay. I'm going to ink up my Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to come right down to the bottom, and I'm going to make it so that it's like a in a triangular shape. 1 gumball on the top and 2 on the bottom. And I'm going to stamp. Okay? Now again, I have my Stampin' Mist, my Stampin' Scrubber, excuse me, that is right next to me, and I'm going to clean in between my colors. So the next color I'm going to do is my Daffodil Delight, and again, I'm going to ink it up, but this time I'm going to turn my stamp the other way so that the 2 gumballs are on the top and 1 gumball is on the bottom. Okay? Again, clean it up. And next I'm going with my Melon Mambo, and I'm going to turn it upside down so that 1 is on top and 2 are on the bottom. Clean it up, and next is Granny Apple Green. And I have my piece of scrap paper here because that gumball there is right about the edge, and it might have come over more, so I didn't want it on my work surface. And also note that I have my pierce mat underneath because these stamps are photopolymer. So I'm going to clean it up, and now I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to stamp up my Granny Apple Green again and put that down. Next is my Melon Mambo, and I'm going to turn my stamp upside down so that it's the other way. And lastly is my Daffodil Delight. And you can see here my Daffodil Delight went off to the side. Now most of my stamping is done, so I'm going to put my stamps aside because they do take up a lot of room here. I am going to do some more stamping on the card, but I'm just going to use that Granny Apple Green, so I'm just going to keep that close by. But I want to start putting my my gumball machine together. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap basic white, and I'm going to stamp the images that are going to make up my gumball machine. And I'm going to stamp those in Memento Black. So I need the cap to my machine, so I'm going to stamp that. I need the dome to my machine. I'm going to stamp that. And I need the machine itself, and I'm going to stamp that. And now I want to do my coloring. And I'm going to color the red part of the gumball machine in real red, and I'm going to use light real red. And I'm using the fine tip part of the marker. And I'm just going to fill this in, and you can see how quickly this is going to go. I'm going to outline, and I'm going to fill it in. Dome is done. And now I'm going to do the same for the bottom. And I find that this thin, fine tip part of the Stampin' Blend is perfect. It fits in these small little spaces perfectly. Now, if you are an experienced colorer, which I am not, you felt comfortable doing the whole thing with the thicker tip, you can certainly do that. But I have to go carefully because I am not that well versed in coloring. And again, I'm going to just outline everything. It does go rather quickly, as you can see. And the last part that's going to be red is this little piece here. Now I'm going for a silver chrome look. So I use the dark gray granite, and I'm going to just color in this whole piece here. And this time I'm using the thicker tip because I do want to get, I have a bigger space, and I can, you don't have to worry about going out of the lines. Okay, and I'm going to go over it. I do believe in my sample I probably used the light gray granite, but that's okay. And now I'm going to just do this bottom piece here. Okay, and that's the bottom half of that. A tiny little stamp in this set that says 5 cents on it. And I'm going to ink that up in black, and I'm going to put that right there. I don't know if that's where it goes, but it's round and it fits perfectly, so that's exactly where I'm going to put it. Okay, now I'm going to bring up my Big Shot. Make sure this is in focus here. And I have a magnetic plate, an acrylic plate, my papers, and now I'm going to use the coordinating dies. I'm going to use this big one here, and it's going to cut out the base of my gumball machine. This piece here is going to cut out the cap of my machine, and this piece here is going to cut out my dome. Although it looks the same, it is different. The top part of the dome is, this flat part is shorter than on the bottom. And I know this is the bottom because it has these two little lips there. So I'm going to put this here, and it fits perfectly. And you can tell if it's not right. So if you turn it the other way, you can tell that that just doesn't fit right. The top and bottom become very important when you're doing just the dies. You're using just the dies. And if you're using the dome, shaker domes, because they'll only fit. You have to get them in the right direction. Okay, so there's that. I bring a top plate in, and I'm going to run this through. And here are my pieces. I'm going to pop those out. Now, you'll notice that the die that cuts out the bottom half of the gumball machine opens up this flap. What I want to do is I want to cover that flap. And the reason I want to cover that flap is if I don't cover the flap and I put my gumball machine on my card, when I open that up, inside my gumball machine is going to be striped. And I don't want that, because in reality, if I was going to open up the back, if I was going to open up the inside of my gumball machine, it would be red. I have a little scrap of real red, and I'm going to just cut a little square. And I am going to attach that to the back of my card, my gumball machine. Just going to place that over there, and I'm going to open that up. So see, now you see the red behind it. Now that I have my gumball components put together, I'm going to stamp on the inside of my dome. And for that, I'm going to go back to my Sweet Strawberry stamp set. And there is a stamp that says, "Hello there." And I'm going to put that right in the middle. Making sure that my shorter edge is on the top and my longer edge is on the bottom. I'm going to center that right in the middle. And put that aside. Now I'm going to bring in that inside of my paper again. And I'm going to use the sentiment that says, "Happy birthday, you sweet thing." And I'm going to ink that up in Granny Apple Green. And I'm just going to put that in my card here too. Okay. Now my stamping is all done. So I'm going to close up my Granny Apple Green, and I just have to put my cards together. So this piece here obviously is going to go on the inside of my card. Here's my card base, and I'm going to drop that on the inside. Okay. Now I have a piece of Daffodil Delight, and this is cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I'm going to attach this to the front of my card. Okay. Now I'm going to bring back my striped paper, and I'm going to put my gumball machine together. That's my cover. Damn it. There it is. So I have the bottom, I have my dome, and I have my top piece. So what I'm going to do is I have a little strip of basic white. It's just a scrap. It has a little hole in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put adhesive all along that. And then I'm going to just place my gumball machine together so that all my parts, I want my gumball to be all one part. So I'm going to put this right in the center there, leaving some space, because now I'm going to put my cap on that. And I want my cap to sit along this line here, but I also want it to hit the little strip there. And I see I have a little piece left over, and I'm going to just trim that off. And now I'm going to bring in my bottom base, and I'm going to put that right up to these two little lines here. Okay? And now my gumball is one piece. And the reason that's important is because I am going to use Stampin' Dimensionals when I put it on my card. And I wanted it to be all one piece so that I could, it would just be easier and look smoother if it was all one piece. So I'm going to put my dimensionals on. I mean, I am using quite a few dimensionals, but I do want it to stand up nicely. And another one there. And when I put this down, I want to put it up towards the top because I do still have to add my ribbon. You know me, love my ribbon. Okay, and there's that. So it's nice and raised, if you can see that. And that gives it some nice dimension. Now I have some retired ribbon. This is Old Olive, but it's, excuse me, it's Pure Pizzazz. But I thought it matched the Granny Apple Green nicely, so I decided to use it. I did have this Granny Apple Green ribbon, but I thought it was a little too stiff, so I chose to go with this Pure Pizzazz. And I'm just going to make a knot. Because this is seam binding. And so when you pull on the seam binding, the knot is smaller, so I like that. I didn't want it to be too bulky. Trim my tails, and now I'm just going to attach with some adhesive. I'll pop that in the front. And there's a very tiny border. The Daffodil Delight is a very tiny border. I just wanted something to make this piece stand up a little bit. The last thing I'm going to do is add some bling, because you know me, I love bling. I'm going to use some red jewels, and I'm going to just put 3 of them on the card. There we go. And now it is complete. There we have it. This one uses the bundle. So we have a card here that uses just the dies. We have a card here that uses just the stamps. And now we have a card that uses the bundle. If you have any questions at all about this project or any of the products I used, certainly contact me. I'll be glad to help you out. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you would give me a thumbs up and if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you back here for another video.